Please subscribe and you can download this code from description below. CGI, Common Gateway Interface, allows you to run Python scripts on a web server to generate dynamic web content. In this tutorial, we'll walk you through deploying a Python CGI app on an Apache web server. We'll cover the necessary setup, configuration, and provide a code example. Web server: you need access to a web server running Apache. If you don't have one, consider setting up a local development environment using software like XAMPP or WAMP for Windows or LAMP for Linux. Python: you should have Python installed on your server. Ensure that you have a Python interpreter, preferably Python 3.x. Create a directory on your web server where you'll store your CGI scripts. This directory is typically named CGI bin, but you can choose a different name if you prefer. Make sure the directory has the necessary permissions for the web server to execute Python scripts. Let's create a simple Python CGI script for demonstration purposes. Create a file named hello.py in your CGI bin directory. Make sure your script is executable. Open your Apache configuration file. This can usually be found at /etc/httpd/conf/httpd.conf on Linux systems. On Windows, you can edit the Apache configuration file through the XAMPP or WAMP control panel. Find the directory section that corresponds to your web root. It might look like this. Within this section, ensure that the options directive includes exec CGI. It should look like this. Add an add handler directive to associate the .py extension with the Python CGI handler. Save and close the Apache configuration file. After making changes to the Apache configuration, restart the Apache server to apply the settings. Now, you can access your Python CGI script in a web browser. Open a web browser and navigate to http://your-server-ip/cgi-bin/hello.py. You should see a web page displaying Hello, CGI. In this tutorial, you've learned how to deploy a Python CGI app on an Apache web server. You created a CGI directory, wrote a simple Python CGI script, configured Apache to handle CGI, and accessed your script via a web browser. You can now build more complex Python CGI applications to generate dynamic web content. ChatGPT. Title: Deploying a Python CGI app, a step-by-step tutorial. Introduction. In this tutorial, we'll walk you through the process of deploying a Python CGI, Common Gateway Interface, application. CGI is a protocol that allows a web server to execute scripts and generate dynamic content in response to HTTP requests. Python is a popular choice for CGI scripting due to its simplicity and versatility. We'll guide you through setting up a basic CGI app and deploying it on a web server. Prerequisites. Step 1. Write the Python CGI script. Let's start by creating a simple Python script that will serve as your CGI application. Save this script in a file with a .py extension, for example, CGI_app.py. This script sets the content type header to text/HTML and generates a basic HTML page with the message Hello, CGI World. Step 2. Make the script executable. You need to make the Python script executable. On Unix-based systems, use the chmod command. Step 3. Configure your web server. You must configure your web server to recognize and execute CGI scripts. For Apache, you'll need to create or edit the .access file or virtual host configuration. Example.access file. Ensure that the allow override directive is set to all in your Apache configuration. Step 4. Deploy your CGI script. Copy your CGI_app.py script to the CGI directory of your web server. The CGI directory is typically something like /usr/lib/cgibin or a custom location you've configured in your server. Make sure it has execute permissions. Step 5. Access your CGI app. Now, open your web browser and access your CGI script through the web server. The URL would be something like. You should see the HTML page with the Hello, CGI World message generated by your Python CGI app. Conclusion. You've successfully deployed a Python CGI app on your web server. You can extend this basic example to create more complex and dynamic applications, such as forms, data processing, and more. Just remember to configure your web server properly, make your Python script executable, and place it in the correct CGI directory. ChatGPT. CGI, Common Gateway Interface, is a standard protocol for web servers to execute scripts and serve dynamic content. In this tutorial, we will guide you through the process of deploying a Python CGI app on a web server. We'll cover the following steps. Before deploying a Python CGI app, you need access to a web server. This could be a local development server, a shared hosting environment, or a cloud-based server. Popular choices include Apache, Lynx, and IIS. For this tutorial, we'll use Apache. You can install Apache on Linux using the following command. Create a Python script that will be executed by the web server. For this example, we'll create a simple Hello, World, script named hello.py. Here's the content of hello.py. Make sure to mark the script executable by running. To enable CGI on Apache, you need to configure it properly. First, make sure the CGI module is enabled. Next, edit the default site configuration file. On most Linux distributions, the file is located at /etc/apache2/sites available/000default.conf. Add the following configuration inside the virtual host block. This configuration tells Apache to execute .py files as CGI scripts. After making these changes, restart Apache. Place your Python CGI script, hello.py, in the appropriate directory. In this case, it's typically located in /usr/lib/cgibin/. Ensure that the script is in the CGI directory and that it has the execute permission. Now, you can access your Python CGI app through a web browser. Open your web browser and navigate to. Replace your server IP with the actual IP address or domain of your server. You should see a Hello, World message displayed in the browser. Congratulations! You have successfully deployed a Python CGI app. You can now build more complex CGI applications to serve dynamic content on your web server. Remember that CGI apps are relatively simple and not as efficient as modern web application frameworks. They are useful for learning and quick scripting but may not be suitable for complex production applications. ChatGPT.